Recording live from the E. Haley Memorial Studios, straight out of Almont, Ontario, it's time for This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes, your one and only weekly Warmahordes news broadcast. It's 8 p.m. Wednesday night, the beers are cold, the news is fresh, and the death clock starts now. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Death Clock. I've already told you it's Wednesday night in that little lovely intro that we've done, which does need an update. We will get to that really soon. We got lots of stuff to tell you. Tonight is an exciting night. We're hanging out with Paul and Casey, the guys that have put together an app for TOs to keep track of
Best Coast pairings,
which is really, it's. I mean, you've pretty much switched over to this app entirely, right?
Well, I wouldn't say I've switched entirely, Will.
Oh.
But it's definitely what I'm going to use for the next tournament.
Okay, excellent. It's got all kinds of features that the apps that we've used in the past
don't
not.
have, yes.
And it's pretty exciting, and it's still sort of like it's in development. It's gestating still, so it's getting better.
Just the little that I have heard, if what these nice gentlemen have promised me comes true, I foresee it being the premier app for the next year.
So we've got other topics we're going to talk about tonight. There's a ton of news because, of course, the new Troll Bloods book dropped today, which is huge. Interestingly enough, a lot of it was leaked. Like, come on, people, leaking 3 days.
3 days ahead.
Could you not have given Privateer Press 3 days? 3 days is all you needed to wait. But no, you're like, let's just spoil everything.
I liked your Scorn impression.
Yeah, that's what happened there. So we're going to talk a bit about that. We're going to talk a bit on tonight's focus. We're going to talk about spells and how to get rid of them. But we have a couple of new announcements, or a couple of big announcements, I should say.
Big ones.
That I'm kind of excited about. The first one is...
Did you say it's a pair of big ones?
It's a pair of big ones.
Announcements?
So the first thing that's really exciting is normally we have like a beer of the night, especially when G and I first started doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Whatever it was 2 years ago.
My God.
We had a beer of the night, and we kind of let that go because it just became like the beers.
Well,
like,
Rich and the boys do it so much better.
Yeah, they do it better.
Beer
and
Machine
we
does a
would
good
have
job.
we would have just spent our whole night talking about like every time we brought in another beer because Maelstrom drinks about a beer every 20 minutes, I think.
Oh, that
Well,
little?
yeah, like 15 to 20
So
minutes.
you'd just be sitting there describing your beers all night.
Yeah. For about the first hour.
Yeah. Well,
and then he'd be saying,
It
it's
goes
good.
slowly downhill.
His wife is thanking us because his pocketbook's been eased up a little bit.
Yay.
This for the next month and a bit, at least. This podcast is brought to you by our local brewery, the Crooked Mile.
Yeah.
They opened up just a couple of months ago. They are fantastic, and the best part is the two guys that do most of the brewing. They do it with one of the wives as well. Nick and Dylan are both gamers.
I heard they worked for the Evil Empire.
They worked for the Evil Empire for a while. We might be
We
trying to
should
drag
convert them.
them. We're trying. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I'm going in there.
That Proteus drag, that
the
Primaxium. Get that galleon in there, drag him over.
So the best part about the conversation I had with the guys today, because I went in to go pick up a growler for tonight's show, and tonight we're going to be drinking Crow's Castle Best Bitter, which is my favorite beer that they do. They just got it out this week, and it's so good.
Does that have anything to do with the new faction?
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Do you want to open this up, Maelstrom?
I would love to.
Because the best part about hanging out with these guys today is as soon as I showed them the logo for Moose Machine, they were like, dude, we have to build that in a model. I have the tracks, and then we have this, like, they were like, for 5 minutes, they were figuring out all the parts they needed
That's amazing.
to build the Moose Machine
I hope
Mini,
that actually
which would be
happens.
super awesome. Okay, before we get too tied up in that, so check out Crooked Mile. Right now, they're trying to become the best new brewery in Ontario. If you go to our Facebook page, yesterday I posted a poll. Any one of our fans, if you guys could do us a favor, go to our Facebook page, look up the poll, go there and vote for Crooked Mile because they support gamers. They are gamers. They're making beer basically for gamers. With names like Crow's Castle. Come on, man. That's pretty much our faction. Druid stuff. It's good. We're good to go. So go vote for them as the best new brewery in Ontario because they definitely deserve it. And I'm not afraid to whore out a little bit.
Especially for beer.
Well, yeah, especially for beer I love. Yeah, and we are hoping to do a bunch of events with them down the road as well. They are hopefully going to be involved in MooseCon next year. They are not next year, but the year after next when we go bigger.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be involved in a bunch of events that we're going to be planning around the next year. And yeah, expect a long and lovely partnership with the Crooked Mile. I meant like pour us all beers, but I mean you
Well,
can
I'm
just
kinda
drink it all.
I would.
All right,
I
so
would.
I gotta
This is-
stop. I gotta stop rambling on
this
about
is
Crooked Mile for a
delicious.
second.
Did
'cause-
Crooked Mile give something to our fans too?
Oh, yeah. So, Crooked Mile gave away a glass. They're going to give away a glass to one of our lucky fans. To get the glass,
What a nice bunch of gentlemen.
you're going to have to go again to our Facebook page. Tomorrow morning, we're
Mhm.
going to post a question in order to get the Crooked Mile glass.
Will it be minty fresh?
It'll be a tough question, and whoever can answer the question first will get the glass, and we'll mail it to you, and that will be that. So, and we'll mail it to you anywhere in the world. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yep.
Because that's
our
that's
wonderful
how
Greek listeners.
our Greek listeners could get this glass. It'll be broken as hell by the time it gets to you. But you get it. Okay, so I'm leaving all that behind.
Our packing is not.
We'll
that
talk
good.
about that again later in the show. So I'm gonna leave all that behind because we got a lot to talk about, and I got to introduce everybody. So sitting here, running the computer, making sure that you people watching live are entertained. The one and only Maelstrom.
That's a good beer.
That is a good beer.
Sitting on the other side of me here is PG Semi-Automagic,
Hello.
and our two guests. Introduce yourself. Oh, I think we lost Casey, didn't we?
We
It looks
did.
like we lost Casey. He went and had a nap after he was like, "Tech conversation done. I'm out." All right, so introduce yourself to us and tell us what you do.
Well, my name is Paul McKelvey. I am one of the founders of Best Coast Pairings Tournament Organizer. And let's see, 2 years ago now, I was the first ITC 40K champion.
Nice.
Nice.
So-
Okay, so he's got some swagger.
Yeah.
He might have some clout.
some cred.
So things we're going to talk about on the show tonight. We've already discussed that. We're going to talk a lot about this new app and how awesome it is. We've got we got the lightning round. We got some beer talk. We got it all. But the first thing I got to ask everybody is, how was your week in War Machine? Paul, do you play much War Machine at all?
I'm actually pretty much a 40K player, and that's about
Okay,
it.
so
rely on my
never mind.
team
We're
for,
reorganizing the whole podcast. So yeah, tonight we're going to talk about something else. I'm kidding, Paul. We'll forgive you this time.
What faction do you play?
I'm a Tau player through and through. I even got this little guy right here.
Oh, dang,
nice.
that's dedication right there.
That's a
he
tattoo.
He can't ever play another game at this point.
Well, yeah. Like once you're marked.
Yeah, he's been inked. So
I've been branded.
we'll start over with PG Semi-Automagic because he's got some. How was your week in War Machine?
Well, I would describe it as painful and cheaty.
Painful and cheaty. All right, we've got that. We got that. All right. So you got a 2 games in.
I got
you-
since Sunday. I've gotten 3 games in.
Nice. You're doing well, sir.
Yeah, it,
I
it was
compliment
lots of fun.
you.
Now the first game I would call a do over. Because
That's a what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas kind of game.
Yeah, it was not good for anybody involved.
He actually took his shirt off at the end and just ran around screaming for 5 minutes.
We both did.
Yeah, it was pretty. Actually, if we can get the footage of that,
I don't.
No, the
I
footage is gone.
can't cue that.
Okay, and then, but I did have a really great game at the pub with Aubin, where he grabbed my shit and pushed it vastly in. But
Okay.
it was
Wow.
Yeah,
That got dark.
it was not
And
good
messy.
for convergence.
Ugh.
My cock was just
Yeah.
beaten.
Your
I was
COC. Your
beaten.
COC.
My
At
cock
least.
was
At least.
beaten.
Oh God. All right.
Convergence.
Moving right along.
Just the tip.
Maelstrom. You got in 2 games against.
I got in 4 games since
Oh
Sunday.
God, you're killing it, you two.
He's a monster.
So
I gotta get good.
Tell me about some of your games.
Well, I played 2 games against George on Sunday, and
Uh-huh.
like we talked about, the first one was just an absolute disaster
Shit
of
show.
epic proportions.
Right.
The second one went okay.
Right up until I cheated.
Right up until George massively cheated. And then I played a game at the pub against you, Will,
Yeah.
on Monday, and that went terrible for me.
No, you won.
Oh, yeah, I did. So but on clock.
Yeah. Oh,
But
muffin.
then
I
we
won, but
played
it was
through.
terrible.
Then we played through, and you assassinated me 2 minutes later.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. So I
And
guess
then-
the backstory to this is Maelstrom and I have been trying to get our battle report out because
Yeah.
it's been like what 6 months since we put the last one out.
Yeah, perhaps.
And if you've read any our other battle report, I was going to say any of our battle reports, but there's
Our
only
other one.
the other one.
The other battle report.
Maelstrom, part of what we do in our battle reports is we kind of screw up a lot, and we want you to give us feedback on how terrible we are. And I'm trying out a new list, and now that it'll be out there tomorrow, my
You
super
gonna
secret
talk
tech.
about it now?
Yeah, we may as well. So I'm running my first Jack spam list, which is Shay with 8 freebooters.
All the booters.
All the booters, one
So, Jack
Buccaneer.
spam.
Yeah, it's a Jack spam.
How original.
Well, this is the way the game.
Bubba did it.
Understand that this is the way that the game is moving. This is where
Bubba
War
did
Machine
it.
is going. I think PP wants to sell
For
more
better
Jacks.
or not.
Well, I think that PP wants to put more Jacks in the game, man.
I like it.
I
I'm
like
all
it.
for more Jacks.
I love it. More Jacks. I'm down
More
with
Jacks.
it. It's
Giant
super-
stompy robots.
It's cool because I have a super high threat range, especially on feet, and as long as I can knock stuff down, it's ridiculous. Unfortunately, both times you played a list where I can knock all of one model down.
Only 2 models you can't knock down. 2 models.
No, and all the tentacles.
Well, yeah, the Hellmouth you can't knock down.
No, and all of the tentacles I can't knock down. There's most of the stuff on that board I either can't get to or can't knock down. Anyway, long story short, you won on clock the first game, and then we played again today on an 8-round slog fest.
oh my god.
That just went
It was like
on.
4 hours.
Finally, I just had to run my caster into the middle of the board going,
Yeah.
I have Def 17.
How
Come at me, bro.
did that work?
Vienna can't
Pretty
kill
damn
casters.
good.
It went caster versus caster.
You can't, not a lot.
There was nothing
not-
else left.
Not a lot of things can crack a Def 17 that can't
No.
that doesn't change on knockdown. So
Yeah,
anyway,
that's right.
long story short, it was pretty awesome, and it just really went too long. I was getting like pinged from work, like, where the frig are you? And I'm like, this game was supposed to take 2 hours. All right, and that's pretty much it for my talking this evening.
Yeah, mine too.
We're going to hand it over to George. No, we'll start with, let's talk a bit about some of the leaks.
Should we try to get the other gentleman back?
Well, yeah, try to see if we can ping Casey to try to
Yeah.
get him back. I'll leave that with you. So things will get a little bit wacky while Maelstrom figures this out.
Yeah, because I don't know what I'm doing.
So first things first, let's talk a bit about some of the stuff that got released this week. Big deal, Troll Bloods book.
Yes, the Troll Bloods book came out only 3 days after it was spoiled.
Yep.
As expected, Theme Force, Madrak 3, and the
Seeking, which is the coolest model, but I've
Super
heard
cool.
very mixed reviews on happiness level from Troll players.
He looks awesome to me on the
Well-
card, but I don't know much. So,
Yeah, and
but
I-
he's expensive.
well, he's
42
very
points.
expensive, and he has the first ranged Animus, and
Yeah.
that is a really big thing. In fact, I think it might be the first in Mark III. I think they got rid of the other one
Yeah.
in Mark II.
Did I hear you use his Fury stat for the rat?
I
His rat is
don't
governed by his
know.
Fury stats?
I don't have the book.
Pretty
in
sure.
front
Yeah,
of
we're
me.
going to we don't know enough about it yet.
Usually, those things will have a magic ability above them, but because it's an Animus, I'm not 100% sure.
It's going to be
Yeah.
weird. It's going to be totally different.
He is a Fury 5, so that's not an unreasonable
But
rat. For
I
a
gotta
gun.
say, the name of his gun is the best name for.
Vomit Swarm.
Yeah.
He literally
That thing is
just
amazing.
pukes on everybody.
yeah.
Which is kind of awesome.
See, our guests tonight are very familiar with Nurgle, so it won't really be a surprise.
They'll be
for
like,
them.
that's been done.
Yeah, that's old school stuff.
So Madrak 3, I think everybody's a bit underwhelmed right now, but I also think the problem is nobody's figured out where he belongs yet.
Yeah, well, I think part of Madrak 3 is, of course, going to be the fact that he makes other stuff better.
Yeah, that's kind of what he does.
Yeah, he's got the protective aura. He's got shield guard. So he's basically... He's one of those casters that you expect to be sort of midline, frontline.
Yep.
Did I see he's got a rate of fire 3 knockdown gun?
He throws spears.
He does
actually.
have his spears,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's a rate of fire 2 because he's
Rate
got
of
to
fire
reload
1.
one.
Okay.
It's rate of fire 1,
Okay.
reload 1.
Yeah.
As far
Okay.
as we know.
And we don't know about any knockdown, I don't think, yet. But he also can do basically what the stone can do, but he himself does it. So he throws out a protective aura as well,
Okay.
which in combination with the stone is pretty badass. Because now you can cover your whole
the stone
army.
is also called protective aura.
Right.
So it won't stack.
No, it won't
but
stack, but it
make
means you can
bigger.
spread it out. It means you
Yeah.
can put him on one side and the stone on the other. And the theme force, I think everybody is underwhelmed by the Dunia theme force so far. I've seen a lot of new lists coming out for the theme force. The troll players of the group, the guys like Fraser, can probably comment.
Yeah.
I think the thing that surprised everybody about these leaks was 42 points for the Sea King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
People are kind of upset.
I'm sure the boys at Troll Blood Scrum, who are going to be on
After us. Yep.
will be able to give you a lot of really good information on
absolutely.
that.
And I'm sure they're going to be talking about that.
Fraser
But-
knows his trolls.
Yeah, he does. But I would question 4-5-6 tough with no knockdown as the caster's feat. I don't know why people think that's bad.
That's good.
Every model in your
Great against-
army
great
are
against
boom
that pirate.
howlers for a turn.
Yeah.
Like
we'll see.
Like Mark II boom howlers for a turn. That seems good to me.
Just take a unit of pirates. So last but not least, we got the breast cancer brawl cards and the special edition cards have hit.
Yeah, well, the breast cancer brawl has brought up. There was actually an insider about this.
Yeah.
So you can go to PP's site and check out that insider. But basically, there are a very small selection of special cards that Privateer Press has made. This started way back in Mark I, where if you won a big tournament with your army, you could send your army list to PP, and they would actually send you back gold foil versions
Oh, cool.
of all of your entire army. And that was to sort of denote you as a big winner. In Mark II, only pre-release cards got the treatment, and there were some specialty cards. But now in Mark III, we're seeing some really neat cards. We're seeing cards, the pre-release cards again.
Yeah.
But we're also seeing specialty cards for events. In this case, the pink breast cancer brawl cards that are only available at a breast cancer brawl event. So if you want to get some of those cards, you're going to have to go to one of those local events.
All right. Because our guests unfortunately are being left out of all the great War Machine talk because they don't play War Machine. Paul,
Nothing personal.
No, nothing personal. Paul and Casey, do you guys have any news for the Best Coast app at all? Do you guys have any?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing we got going on is that our update that we pushed through live on Monday, we added support for Malifaux and X-Wing in addition to what we already had for Age of Sigmar, 40K, and War Machine. Or 40K. Lost it. But so now we got 5 game systems in there. So, and we're adding a couple more before the end of the month, hopefully. Yeah, we've added, made it easier to switch players and things like that, and we're just one of the things we're always working on. That's our biggest news on it
Sweet.
so far.
That's awesome. Do you have any Tau news?
Whew. If I wanted to get into it, as far as this is the first year since they've been doing the ITC, the independent tournament circuit for us, that I haven't just been running away with the best Tau award. So I'm in third place right now.
Oh, you've actually got
to
some
get best
competition.
Tau. I got some hard competition. The guy who's in first right now is pretty far ahead of me. So I'm doing my best to catch up. I got 2 more GTs before the Las Vegas Open. We'll see how I do at those, but even then, it's going to be a stretch. And the way the ITC is structured is it basically is all going to come down to LVO. LVO, they're anticipating about 512 players, so
Yeah,
it's going to be a huge event.
LVO is getting huge for War Machine as
Whoa.
well.
Wow.
Yeah, we're seeing really big numbers coming out of Vegas.
All right, guys, we're gonna leave the news behind because we're doing good. We had a lot of news there.
There
All
was
right,
a fair amount of news.
Maelstrom, hit that button.
Focus!
Tonight's focus, once again, our poor guests are going to have to take a little nap while we run through this. Tonight's focus is on spells and how to get rid of them. I think we should go to Maelstrom. Maelstrom, the topic usually comes from you.
Or a game that involves me.
A game that involves you, but tonight this comes from you. You were involved in the game.
I was involved, but I was on the
receiving end.
Receiving end of a massive faux pas.
Yeah. So one of the things they announced.
Call it what it is. George cheats.
Yeah, George massively cheats. So one of the things they announced when Mark III was announced was that they were going to remove a lot of spell removal from the game.
Yeah, spell hate went down massively.
Because it used to be really easy to strip spells. Almost every faction had some sort of spell stripping method, often on solos or things like that made it so that spells became less and less useful. You had to worry so much about having your spells stripped.
There used to be a lot of purification in the game. Almost every faction had a purification caster.
Yep.
But there is actually still a decent amount of spell hate in the game. There is a way for every single faction to get rid of spells.
Right. Well,
one of the things when I was researching this is I went through all the factions and I was like, is there anybody who can't?
Well, but here's the thing. They changed the way that each faction seems to have its own way of stripping spells and the amount that it can do. Crix doesn't necessarily strip spells anymore. They tend to disrupt spells to a degree. And Legion tends to get bonuses from people having spells on them.
Well, we took Veil 2, who had purification, and they gave her a spell removal shot. But what that shot does is put a cloud around the target. So then that target then gains concealment.
Right.
Which makes it harder to shoot the next time.
Well, yeah. So they've changed the way that works, but let's talk a bit about the faux pas that happened, of course, is you just assumed that your spell stripped, that it was all weapons or something along those lines.
Well...
There's a COC spell.
So everybody's got a way to get rid of a spell. And in Convergence, they took away purification. The only people who still have purification is Menoth. And they gave Father Lucant a spell called Discontinuity. And Discontinuity says that when a model in your battle group hits an enemy model with a melee attack, it loses any upkeeps and animi on the model.
I think this brings up a greater issue that we're all dealing with, and we have been dealing since Mark II, is that we assume that things work a certain way because we're used to it working a certain way. I'm having a heck of a time understanding things, just general changes in rules, because I'm so used to a caster being able to do a certain thing, and then there'll be a slight word tweak, but it's like but it doesn't clarify, it just kind of limits, and you're like, well, that can't be what they mean.
Models to battle group models, or completely within to within, that type of change.
One of the things that, to channel Tim Banky here, is the first thing you have to do in every case when you're dealing with a new card, a new caster, new whatever you're dealing with, or even one that you think is read the card.
And then read the card again.
And then read the card again.
And read all of it.
Read all of it.
I'd like to say read all of it, because a lot of times people just read the first sentence or so and then kind of gloss over
kind of peter out.
And then don't notice the fact that you have knockback on that as well. Or
it's only melee and not ranged.
Exactly. So Discontinuity, Repudiate, Hexblast, Banishing Ward, Mystic Wards, and Chasten are all ways that you can get rid of a spell. So George, what's the case for removing spells? Do you need that often?
Well, one of the biggest problems with some factions is they can stack to outrageous levels.
Right.
So for a great example of this is Cygnar. You've got a great big thing like the say a Centurion or a Stormwall that is starting at arm 20.
Yeah, and now
and then you stack a spell on it that puts it to arm 23. And then if you're really unlucky, you get a feat boost, which gets it in the arm 27. And with any reasonable amount of dice, that is impossible to hurt.
Right. And so the only way to deal with that, of course, is to strip the spell off.
Exactly.
And as George mentions, every faction has a way to do it. But the thing is that it's not all going to work like Purification. Purification, plain and simple.
Purification was amazing.
You cast it. Things lose their spells.
Yeah. Any animi and upkeeps on all models in the control area are gone.
Now, what's interesting is most casters don't have a way to do this.
Yes,
It's
purification.
not on a stick here.
It used to be purification was basically one caster out of every faction,
Yep.
and I think Menoth had it twice or 3 times.
Yep.
Now just Menoth.
Yep.
Purification is a Menoth only spell.
Yep. Which makes sense for their faction. So I guess what we can learn from tonight's topic, we can't really, we can go into detail. We don't know every single rule on all these spells. But look at your caster. Use your ways to get rid of spells because it's great. It's a great way to win a game, especially at the end.
And one
Hex
thing,
Blast, whew,
he's so nice.
awesome.
Hex Blast, Repudiate. One of the things I would do as an exercise for yourself is to go through your faction and find out how to get rid of spells in your faction. Because sometimes it's not obvious, and sometimes it's not a caster you would normally expect. So you might want to think, if I'm going up against a spell-heavy force, is it worth it maybe to grab my anti-spell caster as well? Also, read your card so you don't cheat like George does.
That's right. I think that's the biggest lesson, really, is with any spell, read your card.
Yeah,
Read it
absolutely.
again. If you're about to cast something, don't just assume you understand how it works unless you played that caster 30, 40 times, and you've cast that spell at least 30, 40 times.
Yep.
True.
All right, guys. Well, let's move right along because I think the most important topic this evening, of course, is our roundtable. We got the guys here. I'm going to hand over the questions to George. I'm going to interrupt him when he gets too deep and dark into his tech talk. It's going to happen.
The
All right.
dank. He's getting
But
dank.
I'm watching you. I'm handing over the mic.
They're looking at me.
I'm handing it over.
What is he doing with
I'm just getting you close to the mic because you're getting a little bit quiet.
closer?
Yeah.
They're all gonna laugh
That-
at you. It's this thing.
Yeah, that's why I pushed that. Yeah, God, this is the best podcasting we've ever done. All right, so Mike,
Definitely the best I've been part of.
My cat's breath smells like cat
it's
food.
so good. Yeah. Okay, so George,
Yes.
tell us a bit about why you're excited about
I
tonight
have a filter.
and what we're going to be talking about.
Well, tonight we are talking to the guys from Best Coast Pairings about a really neat piece of tournament software that they have. Now, just to give those of you who don't have to do this every day, in War Machine we have had 3 or 4 different pieces of tournament software. Mostly they've all been written by PGs in War Machine. So I guess you guys in 40K used to have the Grey Knights. The PG core is basically the same thing. We're volunteers who go around and promote the game. We run tournaments. We do all these sort of social things that the company really needs. In War Machine, the PGs have always struggled in the actual Steamroller document. It tells you how to do it. And doing it by hand, I have done it, is a gigantic pain in the ass. It basically adds 15 minutes to half an hour to every round. And when you're already pushing to try and get 4 rounds or 3 rounds in a day, it can be a giant pain. So over the years, people have come up with various pieces of software. Some not so good, and some relatively decent. We've also recently been very lucky for 2 other factions or 2 other games to come out of the woodwork and give us decent tournament software. The first one recently came from overseas was Tiebreak. And now we have a really great one from you guys at Best Coast Pairings. So let's start off by getting you guys to introduce yourselves and who you are and how all this tournament software came to be.
All right. Well, my name's Paul again. So basically, I get to be the pretty face of the operation here. It's Casey's hiding behind his camera there, but there's 4 of us. Started off as the 3 of us, and really it all started off with our developer Garrett. Garrett is a Apple programmer by trade, and so let's see. This all started back, I guess, in October of 2014. Actually, we have a convention that comes around here in Stockton. We're in California, United States, and so Garrett had been working on a pairings algorithm to run Swiss tournaments, and I wanted to run my first 40K tournament, and I had zero experience at it. Didn't know what to do, didn't know how to make it work. There's no rule packet, there's no press gangers for 40K. It's just kind of do your own thing, and we get a lot of special Snowflake tournaments because of that. But so Garrett said, well, why don't you give this a shot? And sure enough, we put it on the iPad, and it was very, very, very alpha build. But I was able to run my first tournament as a 20-man tournament. We did 3 rounds, and there was one little hiccup in the beginning just to get it going, but it's very different from what we have now in the production build. But without really knowing anything of what I was doing, and I was able to get my first tournament going, and it worked successfully. We had the results put out there, and with the ITC, the Independent Tournament Circuit for 40K, there's a spreadsheet that you need to have to submit your scores. And so a big chunk of it was that the spreadsheet, it takes a lot of time to fill out and put everyone's information in and make sure everything's correct. And so part of the big thing with the app was I could just press a button and export that spreadsheet. It kind of evolved from there. Garrett asked me to stay involved with it, and Casey was doing the web development, because what our system does is it puts the pairings and scores online so anyone could see them. And lo and behold, Reese asked us to do it for LVO last year, which at the time, I think was still the largest singles 40K event. It was over 250 players. And Garrett put a lot of work into it, and a lot of time, people weren't familiar with how everything worked, but we got everyone in, and between the 5 iPads we had there, actually I think it might have been less. We might have had 3 or 4 iPads, but we were able to run that tournament without any hiccups, and everything worked great. And they asked us to manage the ITC database from there, and we've been expanding ever since and trying to make this better and better. And we want to be, our end goal is to be the tool that all TOs will ever need to run a successful event for whatever game system they need.
Wait a second. Did you say you ran a whole event with 3 iPads? George Cart's like 7 computers. He's got 18 monitors going. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. I mean, Bay Area Open this year, I think that was 224 players, and we had 3 iPads, and I think I threw an extra iPad up there just so we can get people moving a little bit faster. But you really don't need a lot of resources, even for huge events. Like even up to about a 30, 40 person event, you only really need 1 iPad. Because not everyone's reporting scores at the same time. The hardest chunk where you really do need multiple iPads in is to get people signed into the event. But really past that, I mean, there's 2 different ways that players can record their scores. You have station mode, where I can take my iPad and just set it down, and players can come up and type their password in with their opponent, and everyone agrees to the score, hit submit, and it's done. Or the TO can walk around, and as people come up to them, they can record their scores, and that's it. It's pretty easy. And then we have the player app coming out, which is going to even bypass the TO's iPads entirely, and players will be able to report their scores right there on their own smartphones.
Yeah, that player app is one of those things that I think will sort of revolutionize this type of event scoring, because there's so many things that as a TO I would love to disseminate to all the people in the tournament and not have to have them crowding around tables. And the classic problem, as you well know before you were using this app, when you say the words, the pairings are on the wall, and 300 people charge 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 paper, trying to find their table, find their game, get out of the way so that the next people can get in there. It is, it's like a Black Friday thing going on.
So as we discovered, sorry, finish up.
So now, when you say pairings are up, and even then, most times the TOs don't even have to say pairings are up. People are checking their phones. Veteran users of the app are used to hitting our website and just refreshing until they get their pairings up, and then they know exactly where they need to go. Their table listing's there. They know their opponent, and everyone just kind of files away. It's the clustering around the wall to see the pairings is done. I mean, we've solved that problem for everyone. So it makes it a much smoother transition. And I mean, as you're saying, you don't have to worry about sitting there and typing in scores and trying to do the pairings. It's all done for you through the app, which it really does save hours out of the day for the TO.
That's
Let's
amazing.
concentrate on the fun parts, running the event, not actually doing scoring.
Yeah, you could actually walk around, G. You could,
Really?
like-
You mean I won't be tied to that computer?
Yeah, well, no, you no longer have to use that analog computer from 1973. I think.
But I like the tubes.
Yeah,
The
all
tubes
of
are
the
good.
I've blown a tube.
Keeps the
Um,
place warm.
I
too.
guess
Yeah.
one of the interesting things is as we discussed earlier in the show, you guys aren't actually War Machine players. How did this end up becoming a War Machine thing?
So when we had our initial launch, we knew that in order to make this support itself, we'd have to expand past 40K. And so we've always had it in the roadmap that we needed to get additional game systems and I mean, there's no reason why we can't build it out for every game. And I mean, if there's a need for one system, there's a need for it for all of them. And when we had our initial launch at Broadside Bash in San Diego last year, we actually got to talking with the War Machine TO down there, and he told us he had a demand for it, needed it in there. We kind of knew War Machine was going to be on the roadmap at one point or another, and we ended up building it out for him from there and trying to dissolve our connection for a little bit. But then our Android developer, Ben, is a big War Machine player, and he's been helping us to make sure we have the tweaks in, make sure that everything's going the way it needs to. And then as we get it out to more TOs and more events are using it, we can refine it even more. But I've always been interested in War Machine. Just I'm so devoted, as you've seen, to 40K. I just haven't had a chance to get into it, but I love the models and everything like that. I just never actually got a chance to play it. Like I have a whole Age of Sigmar army sitting on the table behind me, and I bought it because it looked cool and haven't even read the rule book on it yet.
All 4 pages?
I think it's only you just need to have a beard and you win, I think. Well, you know, that's the thing, though. We're the same way. I think everybody chooses their game. You can only, unless you've got a hell of a lot of time on your hands, you can't go all in on every miniature war
Oh, heck
game.
no.
You just lose your
No, what you do
mind.
is you get disenfranchised with your current system. You buy a bunch of miniatures, you get them half painted, and then something new comes out for the system that you're
Right.
really invested in, and then you go back to that system, and then the models sit on the shelf.
Yeah.
Or is this just me?
No, I think that's just you.
No. That's how my pile of X-Wing and Armada got stacked here.
That is everybody, absolutely. And I played War Machine a little bit, but there's only, like as Paul, there's only so much time in the day. We're family men. We got a 9 to 5 to pay the bills. If you look real close at my profile picture there at the left, there's one of my circle wolves is standing there underneath the sea. But yeah, you know, as Paul said, the whole thing was there's a need, and there's no reason why we can't just keep plugging away and add another systems as we get the scoring figured out and keep moving. The whole thing is making the TO's life easier, and a lot of the TOs TO across multiple systems. So several of them were asking us, hey, you know, when are you gonna have blank? When are you gonna have blank? Because I run War Machine on Fridays and 40K on Saturdays, or I got a Malifaux thing on Wednesdays, and yeah, we're looking to support the TO. I mean, if we can allow you to be the ringer and run the show in an event, absolutely. That's our goal, man.
If there is
You do nothing but break up fights over rules.
Well, and the thing is that we want more if TOing can be easier, then we'll get more people organizing tournaments. And the more tournaments there are, the more tournament players we get, the more it just cycles this, turns us into feeling a little more legitimate about what we do.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that a lot of people there's a certain group of people who just want to play their casual games, but there's a lot of people who are like, I wonder how I do against like a bunch of people.
Yeah, exactly. And every game's got those people too. Every game's got those people that are like, I want to take Monopoly to a competitive level.
Yeah, competitive Scrabble.
No, that's huge.
It's a huge thing.
That's a thing, yeah.
Don't mess with those motherfuckers.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. Goddamn. Bingo! Let me tell you.
There you go.
There's
That's the
words.
next thing you need to add to BCP.
Oh, my God.
Is professional Scrabble tournaments.
There you go. You could make. Well, you're not going to make anything. You're going to
So-
make podcast. You can make mad podcast money if you got in there.
Yeah, all that podcast money. So, what would you say are the must-have things for a good piece of tournament software like yours?
Well, I'll let Casey actually cover this one.
Oh, thanks, Paul. I appreciate you throwing me under the bus. It's all good. No, really, in this day and I mean, it's 2016. Everybody's got the smartphone. It's mobile. It's you got to be able to get it into the TOs and the players' hands where they're at. You mentioned before. I mean, currently you got somebody with a laptop chained to a table doing paper scores, and that's my biggest thing. And to a large extent, Garrett's as well. That's where this started. Is, hey, it's 2016. Why am I filling out a sheet and walking across the room? And for us, that's the goal. Is just bringing us 20th century, kicking and screaming.
Which is something that a lot of board games. I mean, we're offline. It's as far as we want that social contract as gamers. We're not. Otherwise, we'd be playing StarCraft or something like that. We wouldn't be having this social contract game that we play. But there's nothing stopping us from making sure we have the more up-to-date technology, and as Casey was saying, to make sure that we're keeping up with times. We can stay archaic and everything, but let's face it. I mean, everyone updates. I know that Privateer Press went from metal models to plastic models. I mean, it's a better technology. There's no reason not to update, right? So it's a better way of doing the things we've all been doing for years.
So, you guys have you've alluded to the fact that you've got a new portion of the app sort of in the wings right now. So why don't you guys give us a little idea of what you're excited about coming up? You don't necessarily have to spoil everything about the app as much as I want to hear all about it, but why don't you give the listeners sort of an idea of what you're going to put in maybe their hands as opposed to just the TO's hands?
Well, the biggest thing that I am excited about, especially as a competitive player, is with the player app, it's going to enable us to do something that no one's been able to do before, and that's capture lists of players. Basically, I know that War Machine has.
Guys, I'm going to need to go get new pants. You guys stay here.
All right, George will be back in a moment. Continue, Paul.
So I know that War Machine has the awesome Army Builder tool you guys have, where you can, it's all graphic interface, everything like that, and you can export that to a Word document. Basically, what you'll be able to do is build your list right there in that app and copy and paste it right into the player app, and everyone who's registered for the event will be able to see your list right inside there. If you got the guy who shows up with a handwritten list, I don't know how often that happens to you guys in War Machine, but 40K, you got someone who comes to a 6-round tournament and they've got a handwritten list that might disappear after the first round. Well, we solved that problem too. Every single one of our smart devices nowadays got a camera on the back. So if someone doesn't have have their list in a easily transferable digital format, you can actually pop out your camera, and the TO can actually just snap pictures of it right there on the iPads, and it gets loaded right into the app, and it's viewable for everyone in the tournament. So no losing a list. Everyone can see a list. If you're on lunch break and you go like, gosh, I'm pretty sure I'm going to play that guy next. What's he running? You can pull it up and take a look, and everyone's able to see everything. That's to me, that's the part that gets me the most excited about the player app. The other stuff's cool. That's the one that's going to give everyone that extra little competitive edge.
That's amazing. Are we going to be able to get that information on the web portion, so that if I'm watching a tournament happen, say, on a stream or something, that I could go and click on the round that I'm watching and check out that person's list?
Not as of yet.
Future.
So
yeah.
It will be getting there, but we're going to retain it for the players that are inside the tournament as of right now. But big events like LVO, we're going to have all the lists for everyone posted for LVO. So you'll be able to see everyone's list at LVO and watch them as they play through the tournaments out there, and be able to look at it on our website and then look at their list in the player app and see everything.
I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball in here. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to kind of jump in.
Oh.
One of the things that we do in the fishing world is we have these virtual tournaments, which allow people to go. So everybody registers, so you pay your $5 or whatever to be part of the virtual tournament for the year. And then you register your fish on an app called TourneyX, which is it's been around for a couple of years. A friend of mine developed it. and they register their fish in the tournament. Is there a way for us to? Do you guys think that your app is capable of doing something along those lines? Could we like host a Moose Machine virtual tournament? Get 80 players from around the country. You have to do your pairings locally, obviously, so you'd have to go play against a local player. But is there a way maybe we could figure out how to tweak that? Is that too complicated? Am I crazy here?
I don't think you're completely crazy, but I think we'd want to region lock it to a city.
I think that's what you'd have to do. You'd have to be like you versus.
But you could do. Obviously, I don't know about the particular capabilities of their software, but I can really envision you saying, "This is a 3-month tournament in Ottawa." And you go through the pairings, and then you two, maybe in the player app,
you have a week to meet up.
You have a week to meet up, and you hit a button that says, "I'm free on this date."
Sorry, curveball. My bad.
It's an
actually,
amazing
there's nothing
thought.
from stopping you. The tournament can run. The tournament will run indefinitely until the TO closes it out. So there's nothing stopping them from actually doing that right now. It would just show up to the point where everyone had gotten to, and as results come in. Yeah, especially with the player app, it makes it really easy because right now you just have to report it back to the TO who'd have to throw on the app. But with the player app, your opponent and you both have your password. So once your game concludes, you could put in the results right there, and it's loaded into the system. We do eventually want to provide more support for leagues, as far as if you guys wanted to, like the World Ender, or if you had a store league or something to that effect, be able to go in there and create a store league so you guys can have multiple tournaments over the course of a year and have an overall winner that's stored into the system and viewable in our database. But we haven't gotten that far yet, but it's definitely one of those things we have on the roadmap.
That is so cool.
Yeah, store leagues are a big thing in War Machine. Just about every area I know of runs a store league, anywhere that has more than 3 or 4 stores. So that would be amazing. Another thing that I would be really, are we going to, once we have the player app, be able to maybe look at our stats over a length of time? So like over a year period, can I go back and see all the games I've played and who I played against and that kind of information?
Yep. Yeah, and part of what we're going to have with the player app is, we do plan to have a full stat breakdown where you can see. You basically, the way we envision it is you'll be able to walk up to the table, and so if I'm playing my opponent, I see that he beat Casey in 2 tournaments ago with this army or this faction. I'm playing this faction, he's playing this faction now, and it will actually spit out a computational probability of what you have just walking up to the table, of what your chances are against them. You can even take that a step further, and because all the missions have been played inside the app, you can go through and see what mission they beat that person on, what they were strong against, then check out their list and all that. So you can drill down and get a lot more information than you probably need, but helps you.
One thing I do want to mention to any TOs who play War Machine that are out there, one little tiny feature that was really nice to see when I was running my experience with this guy is that it actually generated what scenarios we were running for each round ahead of time. So when I hit the button, it said, "Oh, you're going to play this scenario this round, this scenario this round." That seems like a tiny thing, but for a TO, when you're running around, somebody says to you, "So what are we playing for the next scenario?" You're like, this one, because that's the one I can remember off the top of my head." It's really nice to see those laid out ahead of time, and I didn't even realize how useful that was till I saw it. That was a nice little thing for me to find.
Yeah, we want to make sure that
Absolutely.
it was catered towards you. Go ahead, Case.
Yeah, we're all about trying to make the TO lives easier. We're coming at it from a little different angle than most everybody else is, where they're duplicating what you do on paper, and we're actually trying to be a little bit ahead of you, if we can.
Yeah, it's an interesting. It occurs to me like what a lot of iPad versions of board games have done, where they sort of try and their goal is to take all of the bookkeeping if you will, out of the experience. Where, you know, a normal board game, it's like, oh, it's the beginning of the turn. We put out 3 more of these cards. Everybody draws 1 from this deck. You refill this life counter, and then we actually start activations. You guys, on an iPad, you hit next turn, you know, and all that stuff just happens.
Yeah.
And it really seems like sort of your design philosophy here is to literally do that. What they're doing with the iPad is to actually remove all of that bookkeeping, or as much as we can in these type of games.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's a lot we can do with the player app too, that tying in things like if you have certain parts of your army that have like spells that can generate every turn, or, you know, count tokens that you might have to keep track of. That's stuff that we could do later on. It's not going to be in there when we launch it, but that's the kind of stuff that we want to be able to bring to the players too. Is that, you know, it's not just the TO app right now is focused towards the TOs, but player app allows us to help out the players too, as far as like round timers, things like that. Stuff that right now you're running up to the TO asking, hey, how much time I got left in this round, and, you know, it's now you just pull out your smartphone, it's gonna be right there for you.
Yeah. Now, full disclosure, we work with Scott Tellerico on the Moose Machine Network, and I know that he selected your software.
That was a big thing to disclose.
Yeah.
Do we really want to like let everybody know that we actually know the Party Foul guys?
We're not posting this on Reddit.
Yeah, this is not going on Reddit.
It can't go on Reddit if we've mentioned Party Foul. He selected you guys for running his new big tournament, the World Ender. And I know he's encouraging all of us who run World Ender events to be able to use BCP so that we can contribute to that data load, which then we'll be able to use at the big finals and at things like the OTC. So is it... are you going to be doing sort of custom versions of BCP, or is the idea that BCP will eventually do all of these big type of events and like leagues and all that kind of stuff where you won't need a custom version?
Part of the reason what we saw with a lot of the other tournament software was that they tried to make it too broad, so that it was kind of like you could customize it any way you wanted and make your event run. It seems like that would be a neat thing, but in reality, when you got 100 different options and you have tons of different game systems, what works for 40K doesn't work for War Machine. So when we started off this adventure, we realized that you have to build out custom for each setup. And it gets really complicated within like even 40K, where if I go to one tournament and it scores one way, I might go to another tournament and it scores entirely different. They might have it where it goes to a cut after 3 rounds, or they break up into pods, and then the pods develop another tournament out of it. So as of right now, even with 40K, we can't cover every single event. So, but we do eventually want to get to the point where we've built it in so that it is covering just about everything, but we have to build out each different scenario into the system. As people approach us and ask us what they'd like from us, we do what we can, but it just comes down to development time and how big if it's a 500 person event, we're a little more pressed to do it than someone who's got like an 8-man event going.
Yeah.
We do have to build it out for each different scenario, and ideally we'd like to cover everything, but it just comes down to how much headspace our team has.
Now, so we're getting to the end of the hour here because we try and keep ourselves relatively brief, and I know these two guys are probably itching to make me shut the hell up. But sort of a last thing that I will leave you guys on. One of the biggest problems that we face as tournament organizers, and especially as streamers, is the notoriously crappy internet at venues. Stores like to have exactly enough internet to run their debit machine and nothing else, because that would cost me money. Is there any plans to do an offline mode that could then go you could do your tournament on the iPad, and then when you finally get to some place with a signal, hit a synchronize with server button. I know it wouldn't allow you to do a lot of the really nice things like be able to see each round happening and stuff like that, but sometimes there's a venue where you just maybe even cell signal isn't something you have. I have played in some pretty, shall we say, dank Faraday cages over the years that not only had the standard gamer funk, but that beautiful all metal construction that they love to throw in buildings.
Mm-hmm. It's something we've been asked for, and it's because of the nature of how our system is built out. It's a lot more of a challenge than it would seem like it would be. Everything basically reports back to the database, and that's kind of how we operate right now. It's something to go after what I figure is the biggest fish in the sea. We will need it. It's something that we'd like to do, but as of right now, it's still a maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, not a problem. It's always good to know the edges.
All right, guys, I'm going to cut you off because we're actually running dangerously close to the
I
death
know.
clock at this point.
I know, but
do they have death clock in 40K?
I don't know.
Do you guys run on death clock? Do you do because we have a 2-hour death clock and and the game's over. Well, a 1
Yeah.
hour.
Well, we know somebody who runs a chess clock.
Oh,
but
there
not
you
a
go.
death
It's close. It's close. We call it a death clock. So it's time for tonight's trivia.
The lightning round.
We're sorry, there's no 40K trivia in
There's
here.
no 40K trivia in here, and because we have 40K players, they're just going to end up not going to be able to play in the lightning round tonight.
Well,
so what I'm going to
Casey might
do
get
is we're going to go around the table. I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to give them a chance to guess the answer first.
oh.
And
does the most
I'm
smart
for
ass
it.
answer?
oh, they get like 5 points if they get one thing right.
Uh-oh.
You guys only get one.
Uh-oh.
So that's how we're going to run this. This is so that Paul and Casey can play. So, and I got to figure out a way for you guys not to see the questions.
We can't read your handwriting. We've long
So,
since
question number
decided on this.
1. Fiona, the blank of Everblight. Fill in the blank. Starting with Paul.
Legion.
Legion is incorrect. Casey,
Iron Lady?
the Iron Lady is incorrect. George.
Oh, come on!
Okay, sorry. Maelstrom.
Torment. The
It's
torment,
of Everblight. Very good, very good. All right. These spell Boundless Charge grants what? We'll start with Paul. Boundless Charge, what does it do?
It's Swift or whatever it is.
This is awesome.
I'll pass.
Passing, Casey.
Yep.
No focus?
No focus is incorrect. I'm going to give this one to George because I gave away the last one. What does Boundless Charge grant?
Allows you to charge without spending focus. Used to give +2 to movement, might still. And boosted attack and damage rolls.
Nope,
I
you're
think.
wrong. Go.
It allows you to charge without spending focus or fury.
That's correct.
I said that first.
No, I thought but you said something else.
You
You're
kept
just like
going.
some
You just,
other
like,
thing.
making
You
shit
added
up.
a bunch of crap that
As
apparently
usual.
this is what you do.
Doesn't
I have
stop-
Boundless Charge, you guys.
Doesn't stop
It
the
just-
first thing being
It
right.
just a whole bunch of other stuff I didn't tell you about.
Pathfinder.
It's on my card. I read it
Oh, it gives
twice.
Pathfinder too.
Gives Pathfinder.
All right.
Okay.
Question number 3. Is Admonition an upkeep spell? Paul.
Ooh, this is 50-50. Go for it, Paul.
Yes.
Casey.
No.
No.
So one of the guests
Yes.
has it right already.
Yes. Yeah. I should probably.
Paul has it right.
It's still so Paul has 5 points. He's beating all of you.
Oh my god.
Question number 4. How many Warjack points does Durgan Madhammer get? Paul.
6.
Incorrect. Casey.
Warjack points. 4 or 8?
No. Incorrect. Buzz in, guys.
Eh.
Okay. How many?
28.
It's actually 29. That was really
it
close.
29?
It was 29.
Crap.
It's really close.
So
was way off.
Casey, they doubled all the point values from Mark
And then
1
just gave
to,
out a shit ton of Warjack
yeah, from Mark
points.
2 to Mark 3, and then they gave everybody a bunch more. So your sixth guess would have been actually 12, and then they added a bunch more.
What is the range?
geez. Okay.
78.
What is the range on the spell Roads of War? We'll start with Road of War. Casey, we'll start with you.
Road to War?
Road to War? Road to War.
Is that the Mad Dog thing?
What's the range? What's the range on the spell?
6 inches.
6 inches. Incorrect. Paul.
10 inches.
10 inches. Incorrect. Buzz in.
8. Bing.
Ding.
Bing dong. Ding dong.
You're going with 8?
Yeah.
You're going with 8? It's self.
Itself.
You're all wrong.
Oh.
Terrible.
I didn't answer.
You don't get to
incorrectly.
answer anymore. Just kidding. All right, we'll give a point to George because he actually knew the answer. All right.
It's on Karchev.
Karchev,
The terrible.
the terrible, is speed what? We'll start with Paul. What's Karchev's?
5.
5 is incorrect. Casey.
He's a big one, isn't he?
He's like quickly Googling right
He's
now.
a Kate or Jack.
So, Karchev.
Jack Caster.
Karchev the terrible. Okay. What was your answer, Casey?
4.
4 is correct. Casey has 5 points. It's now a tie. Neck and neck between Casey and Paul. They're totally beating you guys, and they know nothing about this game. Mad Dogs cost how many points?
Too few.
We'll start with Casey. How many points does a Mad Dog?
Oh, if they doubled him plus cents, he is going to be in the low 20s. 22.
No, totally incorrect. Paul.
18.
18 is completely incorrect. We'll start
what was
over
the
here with
question?
Maelstrom. How many points does a Mad Dog cost?
Fucking
It's
8.
the same as a conservative.
Wrong. How many points?
12.
It's 7. That's why it's ludicrous.
What?
That's
Yeah.
why it's so friggin'
Seriously?
broken. Exact 30 friggin' boxes for 7 points. That's what I'm talking about. The
At least
power.
freebooters are 9.
This is going to get really good because these guys are going to be
I
awesome
don't
at this
have a
question.
light jack that's
The
that
power
cheap.
surplus on the stockpile objective does what? Starting with Paul. What is the power that a stockpile would give?
I'm going to say that gives you extra focus.
You would think it doesn't. Casey.
It was actually an educated guess. Though.
I know. That's
I'm
what I mean.
very impressed.
You would think that's what it would
That's
give.
something I might even
Or
say.
maybe some ammo or something.
Yeah.
Casey, any guesses?
Oh, Paul's guess was going to be my guess.
Oh, well, we'll skip you. We'll start with PG.
What's the name of the spell again? Sorry.
It's the power on stockpile. It is.
Yeah. What's it called?
It's called surplus.
Surplus is the run and charge for free.
Nope, totally wrong. Last chance, Maelstrom.
Ice cream.
No ice cream.
Maelstrom has officially gone for an ice cream.
So the name surplus makes no sense because it heals 3
What?
damage if you're base to base with it.
What?
That's stupid.
Oh.
Is
Sorry.
it D3?
Sorry,
does
Will.
it heal D3?
Sorry, other Will.
D3.
What does it heal?
It's I think it's D3. Yes, it's D3.
Oh!
Remove D3 damage.
Go Sudabite. Nice.
Question number 9. My weapons are named action and reaction. Who am I?
Paul.
Paul.
Commander Puretide.
No, totally wrong.
Does Pure Tide have those as well?
Casey Dunn, what do you got?
Oh,
Wildest
Buffalo the
guess.
Bloody.
Nope, totally wrong. We'll give Maelstrom the first chance at this one.
Ice cream?
It's not.
He has
Although he
complete-
kind of looks like ice cream.
He
Who
does.
is it? Who is it?
It's Axis.
It's Axis.
Oh,
You now
yeah.
have 3 points. You're catching up to Paul and Casey. You could be giving them a run for their money.
Someday I'll be as good at this game as a Tau
Except
player.
it's question number 10. It's time for. I had to channel Minty because I think he's busy this week. I tried to.
Minty's
I'm
been
always,
really busy.
Well, I'm always late on asking him too. It's
Aw.
partly my fault. All right. Oh, here we go. I get 1 fewer die on attack rolls and cannot make chain, power, or special attacks. What aspect do I have crippled? We'll start with Paul. I have an aspect crippled. It won't allow me to do. It gives me one fewer die in attack rolls. I cannot make chain, power, or special attack rolls. What aspect do I have crippled?
Casey
Close
might
combat?
actually get this one.
Nope, totally wrong. Casey?
What?
Body?
Oh my gosh. Ladies and no. You're wrong. You were close. You were close. I thought you got it right for a second there. All right. Okay, I'm going to so I'm going to say I'm going to let one of you go first. You have to guess a number between 1 and 10.
7.
5.
G, you get to go first. What is it?
Shithole.
Mind.
It's mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. You only got the
Cortex.
4 points.
4 points,
So
almost
we have
as much as the Tau player.
we have co-winners tonight. Paul and Casey win together. They did so good. They did so good. They did so good. They both answered 5 points worth of questions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, closing for this evening. We're running low on time, but before we go tonight, I got to give a shout to our buddies at the Wizards Tower. I bought all the freebooters in the city of Ottawa, and the Wizards Tower helped me do it.
And then you had to order more.
I had to order more because I
'Cause you bought
looted.
all
I
of the
literally
fruit.
bought all of them, and I have to blame the Wizards Tower for giving me the crack that I needed to get started.
That sweet, sweet plastic crack.
Remember that if you're a part of the OGWC, you get 15% off at the Wizards Tower. Go head out, and if you're a Magic the Gathering player, dudes,
they have all.
they have
damn
all your
cards.
things. Go
And
there.
they had some awesome Black Friday and Christmas sales right now.
yeah, and I think that's just wrapping up. So if you want to get
Yeah,
in
get on
that,
there quick.
Go
This podcast will go up in the
fast.
morning,
Yep.
so you might still be able to get them for this week.
I want to thank Nick and Dylan from Crooked Mile for sending us some beer today. God, that was
Some
awesome. Remember to
delicious
check the Facebook page tomorrow. Answer the trivia question, which will be a minty fresh question. It's going to be hard. And we'll send you a free pint glass. And did you guys like the bitter?
Yeah.
Oh,
It
it's delicious.
Friggin' delicious, wasn't
Yeah.
it? It's my favorite beer. It's totally my favorite
A
beer.
little
Yeah.
jealous, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you just have to, roll in the podcasting Benjamins.
Yeah.
Totally. all them. We get
Both of them, right?
Both of them. I have a toonie that I roll on. So don't forget that if you go to our web store, which you can find on our Facebook page, George has been doing a good job at doing a little bit of promo on it this week. You can get our T-shirts. We have a whole crap ton of cool, funny T-shirts designs, as well as Moose Machine T-shirts, and our super awesome feed token that'll help you win games.
And open your beer.
And it's made of gold, and it only costs $20.
They're great.
It's not really made of
May
gold.
or may not be
It's
made of
kind of may or may. No, exactly. It's not really made of gold. But it does open up beer bottles, which makes it even better. And it can be used for other things, like a 2-inch reach.
Feet token, 2-inch marker.
2-inch marker. Yep. To all kinds of. Well, yeah, totally not useful for anything other than those three things. And throwing at people. You can throw it when you're angry, and it may or may not lodge itself in their head.
Yes.
What else do we have? Well, we also have to thank Muson Minis, because Muson Minis
Has
is not
stepped up
only
as a
our
sponsor.
host, but they're also now one of our sponsors, which is super, super awesome. So you're going to be seeing more stream games. You're also going to be seeing more bat reps from me and Maelstrom.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go back to the old style is please watch Maelstrom and Mythgorax screw up all the rules in this game, and you could tell us how we got it wrong. We'll have a bat rep going up tomorrow, so check that out. It'll be
Make
on the
me a
news
better
page.
player.
Yep, tell us what we
Please.
did
We
wrong.
should do that as a segment. Make Maelstrom a better
Make
player.
Maelstrom. You're better than all of. You're doing well. You're getting in like 6 games a week now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and you're winning. You're beating us. Remember when he did? Remember when he
Remember?
used to not beat us?
You remember?
Remember when we used to have to lose games to make him feel better?
Remember when we had
All right,
purification?
guys. That's
I
it for that.
remember.
I want to thank our special guests, Paul and Casey. You guys were awesome. Thank you for telling us all about cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, fellas.
You guys, I heard that you might be running a beta program coming up
As far as
for the software. You
Oh,
wanted to
we'll
get
have-
TOs involved?
Yes. So for each new game system, we want to make sure we can test it out as much as possible before it hits into actual production. So if we have, right now we're looking for TOs that can help us test out for Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl, Armada, and
X-Wing?
X-Wing and Malifaux still. But X-Wing and Malifaux are actually in the App Store right now. When you download the app, it actually has access to them. But definitely Blood Bowl and Armada right now. are what we're looking to line up TOs for to test it out. We want to make sure we have them fully operational by LVO.
All right. So if you're a TO operator, you're a TO out there, and you're listening to the podcast, what email can they send to?
Either paul@bestcoastpairings.com with an S, pairings, or support@bestcoastpairings.com.
Perfect.
We'll also
And
make
like
sure.
us on Facebook.
Yep, we'll like it on Facebook. We'll also make sure that we link them to our
Yeah.
Facebook page. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. It's time for Dice Day. We're actually 10 minutes over the death clock tonight.
Really well.
We're terrible at this.
We are so bad at this.
We're always losing this game. All right, Maelstrom, hit that
Yeah,
button.
Okay.
Dice down.
Moose Machine and This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes is a proud part of the Muse on Minis network. Podcasts go online every Thursday morning. You can watch the show live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and keep in touch with us on our Facebook page. Just Google Moose Machine. If you can't find us, you're doing the internet wrong.